Hi, I'm Pleasure Nad. Today I'm going to be showing you my very first monochromatic single marker portrait. I'm then going to compare it to my most recent portrait using this technique. Now, spoiler alert, it's not quite the same technique, but you're really going to see a difference, and I hope that you enjoy it. What you're going to see in both of these processes is that there are no guidelines underneath the artwork. And this is because I personally didn't like seeing them. I could never fully erase them from the page, and I just really didn't like how they look. I've actually made a video about my whole process and technique, and you can watch it here if you want. This began as an experimentation into the medium of alcohol markers. I've made plenty of portraits with guidelines and sketches underneath, and I'd seen loads of artists online do something similar with their markers. But what I noticed about other artists is that they would use more than one marker to do a portrait, and I wondered if I could do it with just one single marker. Almost like the most extra swatching you had ever seen in your life. It's really interesting for me to watch this back because I can see where my technique started. Like, you can see that I started with the hair and then added the chin before doing the wash of colour, and then I go in on top with the coloured pencil afterwards. When I made this portrait, I thought the best way to add depth and dimension was to use a coloured pencil to shade in the shadows. I definitely think it looks good, but it also looks a bit flat. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely works, but I think the flatness gives it a more of a stylised feeling to it. More like a comic illustration rather than a realistic portrait. Like, neither is bad, they're just different. Later on I realised that I could layer the marker on itself and provide a lot of depth and dimension just using the same marker. Now, for a contrast, here's my most recent portrait of Shelley Duvall. Now, I start with the hair because I'm a creature of habit. But that's really the main similarity here. I start drawing the features, I map them out with the alcohol marker, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then the jaw. And then once I'm happy with that framework, I add colours to the areas that I want to be darker in the portrait, so the hair and around the cheekbones. I then do a wash of colour. After that wash of colour, I'll go in with the pencil, and I'm going to break a personal rule that I have. I have a rule where I don't point out the flaws of my illustrations. I'm going to do that here because I would love to say that the most recent portrait was the best that I've done, but it's not. I picked a orange coloured pencil that it's too close to the orange of the alcohol marker, and that means that there's no real contrast. It doesn't really add any depth. It means that it just didn't really stand out. I don't really know how to describe it, but it looks muddy. It doesn't look very interesting to look at. So I switched to a darker red, and honestly I feel like it looks a lot better. But I'll put these side by side. You can really see the difference between the two techniques. The progression was so natural that I actually didn't realise that it had changed so much. It's only when I was watching back this footage to be like, haha, my first versus my most recent. And I was like, wow, I've changed so much over a year and a bit. And it's really cool to see that progress. Let me know what you think. Do you prefer it flatter or do you prefer the dimension? Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all of the YouTubey things. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!